way, Jose.
Red I got you. Come subscribe, like. Come subscribe, like. Come subscribe, like. Come subscribe.
No way.
Red I got you. Alright, so today I am doing another Cobra Kai video. Now today I'm going to be talking about season 4 of Cobra Kai, and this is going to be following on with the marathon and everything like that until the 15th. Without further ado, let's just get into it. I've already talked about everything, that has to do with the marathon, so let's just get into it. For starters, I really want to talk about Terry Silver. Now, I think Terry might be my second favorite villain in the entire series. Obviously, it's a high bar when it comes to like Kreese. He's definitely number one for me because honestly, I love his development in season 3 and how you really get to see his background and how he was really traumatized by the war and how his general tried to kill him and stuff like that. You really get to see the origins of Cobra Kai, and honestly, even in Karate Kid 1, Kreese was just a menace, and he really corrupted Johnny. You could really tell that Johnny was actually like a decent person, probably at some point, but then Kreese just got into his mind and made him even more of an asshole. Because honestly, he probably was somewhat of an asshole beforehand, but he just made him even worse. Because Kreese's methods when it comes to Cobra Kai are just so menacing, just so evil. And it's so antagonistic, and it makes you a villain, as you see with like Hawk, Robbie, Miguel, even other characters. Like even Sam in season 4, she started to take on some of the negative, energy of Cobra Kai when she was training under Johnny, because she's not used to the idea behind striking first and the offensive way of karate being prioritized and having that aggression that makes you stronger, because usually she has to focus on defense and calm and collected, that sort of form of karate that Daniel teaches her. But going back to Terry, honestly, I just love how they develop him. He doesn't fully trust Kreese in the beginning, but later on, Kreese, breaks him down a little bit, wins him over, and then he goes back to the old Terry, the crazy Terry, the insane, psychopathic, just maniacal, just cartoon villain Terry, which, I just love. I just love his type of villain because he can be the biggest villain in the series, but he doesn't necessarily need to even be likable, or he doesn't need to be, he doesn't need to have a good heart at the end of the day. He just needs to be like pure evil at the end of the day, and that's low-key what Silver is at his heart, at his core. Or actually, I wouldn't say at his core, because he still has good in him, and he's still like a normal, he was a normal human being before Kreese, reached out to him again, but he has that evil in him. He always has. It's kind of like with Kreese. Like Kreese probably was a normal person back in the day, but now he's just evil. Like he's let all the hatred and the anger and the pain and his trauma corrupt him to the point where he's too far gone. I also really do love in the end that Terry actually, really embraces this evil nature that he had always inside of him, and he ends up betraying Kreese, showing just like how crazy he is in comparison to Kreese. Like his crazy is even worse than like Kreese's crazy. It's a different type. Like with Kreese, it's more so like somewhat calculated in a certain sense, but when it comes to Terry's type of crazy, I feel like he just wants to take over the world. Like he is just like, he's on a different level, I feel like. And when it comes to Kreese, I feel like he fundamentally didn't have that desire to really like expand upon just the valley necessarily, and create this whole business behind it and everything, quite like Terry did. And I like how he organized everything. He basically gave Kreese the idea behind even like doing the Sekai Tekai. Like Kreese never gave a damn about that at all. Honestly, I would say these two characters, Kreese and Silver, are just some of the strongest characters in the series, and that includes like the movies as well. Like that really helps flesh out Terry as a character, and Kreese is honestly an OG obviously as well. So it's just like I love seeing these two interact with each other, interact with the other characters, especially like with Silver, because he wasn't in like most of the series. He was only in 4 and 5, and I just love how well he's integrated into the series, because you already have history with him from the 3rd movie, and it's just like I love it because it really broadens the world a little bit. Like just seeing Terry Silver interact with like Robbie Keane, and seeing him talk about Miguel and Hawk, it's just like he's in this universe, he's in this world now. Like this, interacting with all these characters, he's affecting everybody in a negative way, obviously, because he's the villain, but I just love how much of a threat he is. I also find it quite interesting and also sort of disappointing how Miguel sort of takes like a back seat in this season. And obviously he's not like fully nerfed. Obviously he's still like able to go toe to toe with Hawk, and he probably would have been able to defeat Robbie if not for his back like being re-injured and stuff like that. So like if that never would have happened, then he could have ended up fighting Hawk again, defeating him, and then ended up fighting Robbie in the finals. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, obviously they have to do it for plot reasons to bring him to Mexico so that he can have his little arc. The only problem is that was disappointing because the Mexico thing only lasted for like what, 2 episodes. So it's like, and I'm not fully happy what they did with Miguel in this season, but overall, like, I'm glad that he had a different type of arc, and it was more so like deconstructing his mindset towards karate and how it was going to solve all of his problems. Just because he did win the first season, the tournament, but obviously he cheated. So it's like the fact that he didn't win in this one, it kind of shows like karate and just winning the tournament in general is not everything. And he really had to learn that actually is a valuable lesson, and it kind of humbled him a little bit. When it comes to humbling characters, I could also say the same thing for Robbie, because Robbie was very humbled in this season. Like, he ended up losing to Hawk, who usually in most of the other seasons is below him in strength and speed and power, just all that stuff, and karate, like skill specifically. And like the fact that Hawk actually surpassed him and beat him, obviously it was like extreme difficulty. Like, it was like very difficult for him, but and you could even argue that Kenny distracted him, so therefore yada yada yada. But the point is, right, the fact that he was able to accomplish it at all is impressive. And obviously all the characters were proud of him, and Robbie really had to reevaluate his whole mindset about joining Cobra Kai and spiting his dad and hating Miguel and all that stuff. And obviously he had good reasons, like I've already stated in the other videos, reanalyzing Cobra Kai. But like it kind of became a negative thing because he was even affecting Kenny in the negative light, and that's why he got distracted to begin with. I just really love that no matter if a character wins or loses, Cobra Kai really helps the characters grow and develop and become better people, or even worse people if they're villains, obviously, like with Terry or something like that. And it helps you understand the character better, and it helps them grow and develop further than what they were in the, for example, previous movies, like with Daniel and Johnny in the OG movies, or Kreese and Terry and stuff. You could also say that the same for Miguel in season 1 versus Miguel in season 5 or 6. Personally, I was never a big Sam fan at all, honestly, and I had a lot of critiques about her character and also Tory's character. So when it comes to those two as characters, I would say they contrast a lot with each other. And when it comes to Sam, I feel like she became more aggressive towards Tory, especially after defeating her in season 3. And I kind of didn't like it. I think it was a negative character change because it kind of made her a lot more so like Tory, which I guess you could say is a parallel to where, like, they both have a specific upbringing that makes them who they are. But when with Sam, it's like she's being affected by Tory in like a negative light. And the whole situation with the school fight happened because of Tory technically, and that's when Miguel almost died. And it kind of affects her mental because she's like, okay, Tory is doing all this stuff to me, now I have to spite her, I have to do negative things, I have to treat her badly, essentially. And that's why she started being very negative and started having like an angry, aggressive mindset. And that's why she even wanted to learn from Johnny in this season. And honestly, this season really humanized Tory in a very important way that the other seasons just kind of lacked. Except 2, honestly. I think 2 was fine to some extent, but honestly, 3 really was disappointing, and it left a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to Tory. Even though she was sort of like developing feelings for Robbie and stuff like that, and they were sort of having their little arc. But I feel like that wasn't enough for me to just start liking Tory, especially when at the end of season 3 she basically tried to kill Sam again. And that's something I did not like from season 2. Like, the whole school fight was basically Tory's fault, so it's just like it's an issue, honestly. But regardless of that, I do like that she was developing feelings for Robbie and stuff like that, and she had to deal with the stuff at home. And Kreese was the one who actually brought her out of that. He basically handled the landlord and stuff like that, and brought her back to Cobra Kai so that she can learn more, and basically he could basically be like a father figure to her. Honestly, their dynamic really reminds me of like Johnny and Kreese, and the fact that Kreese honestly is really trying to find that replacement for Johnny. It's like Tory and Robbie and Hawk have all three tried, like he tried to replace them or replace Johnny with them, and it just never worked. Honestly, even with Robbie, it did not work. So like, it really shows that his trauma and his need to, you know, keep a hold of like that control over like that a student, you know, that's sort of like something Kreese needs. He needs control. It's almost like a Kreese, like he needs to feel like that he's the best sensei, like he's a better sensei than like Daniel and even Johnny himself, and I guess Terry to some extent, only because like he wants to show that everything that he went through was, you know, justified, so that he could become stronger and actually show the next generation that, you know, even though he was wronged and he has all this trauma, that they could be stronger for it in a certain sense. Like he feels like, you know, what I learned was what I needed to learn. And honestly, going back to Hawk, I would say Hawk had one of the best, actually he did have the best arc in this entire season. I really did like that he shined very much in this season, and he showed that even though he went through all that stuff and he had his bully arc, and you know, he was loyal to Kreese for a certain amount of time in season 3, you know, basically the whole season actually, you know, he wasn't, and you could tell in season 3 he wasn't fully just, you know, a cartoon villain. Like he genuinely was thinking about all the stuff that he was doing, and he felt bad, you know, he felt bad about breaking Dimitri's arm, about you know, just all the stuff he was doing to like other characters, like the fact that he wasn't friends with Miguel anymore because Miguel felt like he was being a bully as well, and stuff like that. He really had to reflect on. Even Johnny talking to him really snapped him out of it. And honestly, for once, I can actually say a lot about Amanda. Now, Amanda, I can't say much about Carmen though, to be honest, but Amanda was actually able to help Tory get out of, you know, the negative mindset that she was in when it comes to Sam, and when it comes to, you know, her job, and just, you know, being in Cobra Kai and just hating Magneto, hating the world essentially. And it's one of those character moments where it's like you don't expect this character to do something, especially this important and to this specific character, but, and honestly, Amanda, it just shows how strong-willed and you know, noble she is. The fact that she, like, Tory broke into her house, but she's still trying to help her, because at the end of the day, she understands that Tory is not perfect, and she's not an evil person necessarily. She just has a bad past, you know, she's struggling just like everyone else, and, you know, she has a lot of negative feedback from like Kreese and stuff like that. Like, she doesn't have a good mentor or good people in her life, or a good, you know, living situation, like with her mom, and she has to take care of her little brother as well. Like, she has it hard in life. She can barely keep a job. So Amanda understands that regardless of all the things, all the bad things that she's done to her. I do also like that they introduced characters like Devin and stuff like that, and it really showed, like, you know, some different characters having some shine, you know, in Cobra Kai and in Miyagi-Do. Like with Piper, she joined Cobra Kai and was able to compete in the women's side of the tournament. So I think it was interesting. It also gave Sam some stuff to do, and you know, gave Tory another teammate, so it kind of expanded Cobra Kai a little bit. So I did enjoy that, especially since she was actually in season 2, so she's a returning character. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say about season 4. There's probably some other stuff that I probably missed, so let me know in the comment section if you want me to talk about that, and I can kind of expand upon that in another video, or maybe in the comments, you know, if I want to, you know, have a little discussion with you guys. But yeah, comment, subscribe, like, let me know what you guys think about season 4. Maybe, I think actually for most people it's either your favorite season or your second favorite next to like season 1. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. Let me know what your favorite character in season 4 is, honestly, or just in general. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Red Hot Gotsy, come subscribe, like, come subscribe, like, come subscribe, like, come subscribe.